how's everything going?
Slowly.
I haven't, like I told you earlier, I haven't started officially yet.
Yeah, I'll get to your question in just a second. All right, so let's start with you. So slow, right? So fill me in on how things have been going.
A couple setbacks I cracked a crown, and so I had to stop, keep with like shakes and soft foods because I couldn't eat. And so I had low protein on those days because I couldn't chew. And then I went back and had another 4 hour visit at the dentist, and it's still really tender. I had like nerve pain up my jaw and all that stuff. So I missed a couple days. So that bothered me. I hate missing a day. If I miss a workout, that just like screws up my whole week. I get mad. And then so I'm back into the routine again. So now I got my two workouts in today, two in yesterday. So I feel better.
Oh,
Frozen.
yeah.
I'll address that and hopefully she'll get back in here in a second. You there? All right, you're back. Yeah. You froze for a second. All right. You got to keep in mind, like, it's total volume, right? So total volume, that means don't stress out about a single day. If the single day turns into 3 days, turns into 5 days, turns into a week, turns into a month, now then we got problems. But if it's like you're dealing with medical problems, you're dealing with dental stuff, or you're not going to get protein in on the days that you're getting like oral surgery. That's not going to be possible. So you got to give yourself a little bit of slack with that. And I'll tell you when you don't need slack, and that's like oral surgery and dental work, like you can have some grace there. So don't stress out about that. And then also, like, I'm assuming on the days that you had the work done, you probably didn't work out those days either, right?
No, like Thursday. Actually, I did rowing on Thursday so I made sure I had at least cardio in.
Okay. So you had a little bit less volume, a little bit less movement. And then, like, when you really get into it, it's like if you're going to be more sedentary, then you might not need the extra calories anyway. So on that day, right? But again, remember, like, we're looking at like bigger picture stuff. A day is not as important as the week, is not as important as the month, right? So just keep that in mind when you start getting frustrated about stuff on a day-to-day basis. You're always going to have that where it's life's going to disrupt your routine, and it's your job just to keep on track the best you can, have contingencies in place where you can fight through where you can, and then understand what you have control over and what you don't. That's a big one, is releasing control of things that you don't have control over. Then you don't stress out about it. And that's true of not just working out and fitness, but nutrition, but everything, right? And you really look at, what do we actually have control over? Not much. We have only control of our reactions to the stresses. That's it. That's all we really have control over. Everything else is not up to us. And it's just our job to deal with it as it comes. So we have plans. We like to make plans. I love to make plans. I love to, pretend like I have some sort of control over life and the direction that I'm going. And you do. I'm not a determinist by any means, but bigger picture philosophy, like philosophical things here, like, just release what you don't have control over. And if there's a day that you have a broken tooth and you can't get a workout in, like, you didn't have control over that. So, hey, come here. Sit down. Dogs. Hey, get over here. Sit down. The little one's chewing on the big one's ankles. Literal ankle biter. All right. It was still getting movement though. Like, it was still getting like progress.
Yeah. The week before was a bad week. So, when you have one cheat day, you can have two cheat days. And I'm like, oh, we got to stop that right now. We got to being consistent to my macros and getting where I need to be. So I think it's, like I said, it's where I need to be. Like I said, falling back a little bit. Now I'm back and I'm still have some progress. But yeah.
Okay, good. Progress is progress. Now, how fast you want that progress to go just dictates how tight you got to stay to things, right? So,
right.
Cheat meal, and I totally get it. One cheat meal becomes two, becomes three rather quickly. Now, with that said, just keep in mind, like mathematically, what percentage are you at? If you're at 80% or better, like, you're still doing pretty good. like 80% of your total meals are on track, like you're doing well.
Right.
So just go back and
Right.
do the math and add it up and divide it by the total number. It's like, all right, we had 2 cheat meals in the span of a 7-day stretch, and like it worked out to be like 85%, like still doing
Right.
okay. And then if you want it to go faster, you just tighten it up and say, nope, it's going to go up to 95%. So that means I might get
Right.
like half a cheat meal or a cheat meal. I don't even I really don't like that term because it just defines things like they're off limits. And really it's amazing from a psychological standpoint. If you put something out of the realm of I can't have this, how much more you want it, versus if you just say, no, I can have it if I want it. And if I want to fit it in, I can, whatever that thing is. Then then all of a sudden, like you have much more of an internal locus of control over that. You're dictating terms onto that thing because that thing is just a thing. So take its power away.
Yeah.
But good. Progress is progress. In the midst of getting mouth surgeries and such, that's pretty good. So not bad.
Yes.
You got any other questions about anything?
Mindset was pretty tough this week. Things going on at work and then going on with the oral surgery, all that stuff. Mindset had me teetering. I'm like, oh, I can't do this. But I can. I know I can because I've done it. So I tried to work on that this week more than anything. It was just that mindset of getting back on track, staying focused, and staying committed. So that was a couple days of contemplation, but like I said, I'm back. I'm focused. Like I said, I got 2 in yesterday, 2 workouts today. I like that. I like having that regiment. I like having the schedule, and I like being active. So it makes me settled. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And there's all sorts of physiological reasons why that occurs, from endorphins, dopamine, and all kinds of stuff that get triggered when you work out. And then when you have success, right, when you have the success level that you had training, then you want more of it. And it literally becomes an addictive process, right?
It is. Yeah.
So that's what you're going through, is you're becoming addicted to progress and training, right? Now, that's not a bad thing unless it becomes like all aspects of your life and your being, and all of a sudden if you can't get 2 workouts in, you're a total nightmare to deal with. And it's, oh God, can't be around Carmen, she didn't work out twice today. Like you laugh, I've been there, right? I was there when I was competing in CrossFit. It was terrible. If I didn't get my second workout in, I would just think the world's going to end and it would be a nightmare to be around. So not a good place to be. So you got to be certain, like a certain level of flexible in that. Hey, these dogs, let's go back to the comment that you made about thinking that, or saying that I can't do this. What this were you talking about?
Like I said, mindset. I feel like I had already failed because I didn't get my workouts in, and I had like I said, the holiday meal with my family, and I had all this. I didn't eat as good as I should have, and it was just being hard on myself and thinking, oh, I just screwed up, which I didn't. Like I said, if I did go back and look at my numbers, it was between 80 and 90% of the time I'm still eating and doing my workouts. So I shouldn't have felt defeated, and I did. So that was trying to climb over that hill to get back on track of that mindset. And I'm like, I was too hard on myself and playing mind games with myself.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So let's pick some parts of that out a little bit. So one of the meals that you talked about, you mentioned, was like a holiday, like you gathered
Memorial Day.
Day. Okay. And you were with family. All right. You have to also consider just like what I mentioned, like you have to be flexible. You have to have a certain level of flexibility with this, or it doesn't work. Like it won't, especially long term. It definitely won't. Now, you have to look at food as like a multifaceted thing, right? Like nutrition is multifaceted. So there's the nutritional component this is literal gas for your engine. Like it's gas for the machine that is your body, right? That's one part of it. Now, it's very important, and we talk about that like a lot is the nuts and bolts, the biomechanics, the physiology, the stuff about like when you eat protein, this is how protein synthesis works. 1 gram of protein per pound of body, like blah, blah, blah. Right. But there's another whole aspect of food that's cultural and social, and you cannot separate it out because like your brain and the same systems that are triggered by the exercise addiction and the progress addiction that we just talked about, the same things triggered with food, right? It triggers all the time. So like that's why you can get food addictions, and you can pair emotionally certain food with comfort. That's the term comfort foods. That's where that comes from. So like you make those pairings and your brain forms those as memories, and then your hippocampus like writes it down. So, and then it starts triggering all these good feelings, right? So you can't separate out the social and cultural necessity that food brings. It's just part of it. And dogs are everywhere. Yeah,
Sorry, Mav,
that was just on the computer.
Maverick.
The big one sitting here, his ears just went up. Like, where is it? Where is it? But you got to remember that. And again, that doesn't give you like carte blanche to do whatever you want for an entire day or a week if you're partying with your family. That's not it at all. But you do have to understand that if somebody makes, if I go to my dad's and he makes like a killer like steak and baked potato for my birthday or for Christmas or something like that, like whatever that is, how plan for it. And then that's going to happen, so you can stay on track within the context of all of it, knowing full well that you're going to have some of mom's lasagna, you're going to have whatever it is. You just have to plan it. So you can futurecast that, you can forecast that. So let's look forward to 4th of July. What's the plan for that? Like, where are you going to be? What are you going to be doing? So that way, leading up to that, you're prepping for that because you know that things are going to be a little loose there. That's okay. That's totally cool. That's staying on a plan. You're modifying the plan and you're taking your foot off the gas pedal for a specific reason. That socially, you need a little bit of a break and you need to connect with your family. Because if you don't connect with your family and friends, then what are we doing this for anyway? Now there's a whole nother conversation that you can get into psychologically, like making sure that not all social components need to be food related or alcohol related. That's something that needs to be looked at too. Like how much of your socializing is done around food and alcohol, or alcohol or food or whatever, right? Because then that can create some negative pairings if everything revolves around that. And if you look at families that have like generational obesity and stuff like that, it's usually all of their socializing, which is like multiple times a week, revolve around low quality food. And they make those pairings with McDonald's and Pizza Hut and Friday night at the movies and like all those things that like everybody I think does once in a while, but they do it all the time. And that's why it becomes like a generational thing. Yeah, it gets real interesting with just cycles and patterns and how you pair things together. And it's just, bottom line is nutrition is multifaceted, and you just have to understand how that plays into everything, and then being able to future cast all of that to make sure that you're going where you need to go and you're being flexible enough to do what you need to do, from the whole reason that we're doing this. Because if you lose sight of that and you lose all your relationships because you're a maniac and like you're super shredded, but nobody can stand to be around you, like, congratulations, you lost.
Which is funny because my family, they think they wanted to do an intervention because that's all I do is exercise and not drink and not eat. And I was like, no, I just want to be healthy. They joked about the intervention, but I think I hit a nerve with them because I don't want to socially drink and I don't want to eat the cake and the cookies and all the sweets because I don't even like sweets anymore. Like I don't know if it's because it's what I'm eating now on a regular basis. Sweets don't taste good to me anymore. So I don't know.
So there is something to be said. Now we have to have flexibility, but as you are just at the beginning of things, like you're not allowed as much flexibility at the beginning. It's when you go to an academy or you go to boot camp or you go to whatever it is, like you're gone and you're gone for 4 months, 6 months, like maybe a year at a time, depending on what you're doing. And you're going all in to learn this thing and to get really good from now until then. And it's a process of withdrawing and becoming someone different. And once you're on the outside of that, once you're on the other side of that, then you can start piecing normal life back together. But there's like Jocko Willink talks about, discipline equals freedom, and the level of like discipline and freedom have to go up and down. So like you're allowed a little bit more freedom when you're more disciplined, but the scales have to balance out. Because if you get too out of whack on one side or the other, like you get too much freedom, you start to get loose with your diet, you start to put some pounds back on. But if you're over disciplined with it, then you start to lose relationships potentially, and nobody can stand to be around you because you're too disciplined. Yeah, we got to even those scales out a little bit. But at different points in your life, like the scales might be like super disciplined now, right? Freedom low for nutrition. But the idea is that we can start to bring those scales back to equilibrium over time. And maybe you're not quite there yet, but that's the goal. Now, what you also need to remember is that sometimes that those statements will come out as jealousy. And I have no idea if that's the case or not, but people start to feel like you're leaving them behind. And they'll start to say, whoa, we need to have an intervention with you. So no, I want you to come with me. I want this to be everybody's. We're not talking about like you're going on like a 1,200 calorie a day diet so you can crash diet and I don't know, do something outrageous. So you're just trying to get healthy. I don't consider that to be an outrageous thing.
And that's what I said. I said that to everyone on Monday. I said, try it. If you think it's crazy, try it. It may seem crazy to you, but to me, it's just a lifestyle change and it's worth it. That's what I said.
Yeah. So it's always just like assessing yourself with things and saying, all right, am I getting too crazy? Or is this really like, this is somewhat their issues coming out? It sounds to me like you're doing fine. So that's my assessment for what it's worth. But
and as I said, it wasn't overnight. And I've been doing this since the end of November. And it's that consistency and keeping it going to keep off the weight and be healthier. And it wasn't overnight. And I tell that to people that this isn't magic. It didn't snap my fingers and lose 35 pounds just in the blink of an eye. It's work, and you have to continue to do the work. So that's something they need to realize too.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And that's all you can do in terms of if family members feel like they're making statements and you're like, man, I'm making myself better. I'm not leaving them behind, but they can feel like that. Is just invite them to come with you. Just, hey, this is where I'm going. I would love for you to come with me. Come here. Get over here. Wait. Come here. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Cool. Got into the biopsychosocial aspect of this. That's like my favorite stuff. My favorite stuff. All right. Parker, you still with us, man?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right, dude. So let's dig into what you got. So you sent me that text message and you're planning on starting officially this week. So run me through the question again.
So I guess there's two things. The first thing I guess before that is so I'm looking at this daily schedule here.
Yeah.
And I don't know is it flexible to move around like the more high intensity workout to be in the morning instead of in the in the afternoon, the lower intensity workout, switch them around, and then how would that affect like the meal schedule?
The only thing that's going to affect, like, all right, so to answer your question, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever works for you, with the exception of making sure that you're getting good sleep. But I'm assuming that's the case. So do whatever you need to. Now, the only thing that's going to change nutritionally is where you put your post-workout nutrition. And that's all, right? That's literally it. So everything else should be relatively the same. And there's different things that we can move around depending on how well or poorly you digest food prior to training and where your training blocks are. Like we could play games with all that just to make it a little bit more convenient or easier. So does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'll just lay out what I think it is and then I'll send it to you. And if it looks okay, then it looks okay. Is that cool?
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. All right. And then the question I texted you with the food stuff was like, I understand everything. I understand eat this here, but I guess I don't understand how to find meals or ways to cook food that you can have. Because in that longer nutrition 101 thing, we're talking about like 40% this, 30% this, and 30% this in a meal. Like, how do I know how to do that? Is it just by measuring stuff, or is it by like how, like when I find stuff to eat, how do I make it so it's the math is right there when
So
I'm
the percentage of meal breakdown, like that, if you have one meal that's 100% protein, right? It's not like that's fine. You know what I mean? Throughout the day. Now, the idea of a 40-30-30 split is basically just to make it easy as far as a generally even nutritional protocol that's not too far high, like too high fat, too low carb, like that kind of stuff. Like we just want to do something that's like in the middle so we can see where things are at and we can get a good baseline. And then if we want to start pulling the levers for high fat, keto style, low fat, higher carb stuff, depending on your training, like all that kind of stuff, we can pull the levers later. So the 40-30-30 is just a nice general like template for nutrition to start with. The individual meals, it'll be easier to hit that overall number if your meals are relatively well rounded with carbs, fats, and proteins. Now, if they're not, if you have one meal that's like really high carb and you have one meal that's really high protein and you have one meal that's really well rounded, it'll probably even out. So I guess don't stress out about the individual meals.
okay. Yeah, because I think the biggest challenge in this is finding what to eat, basically. That's the thing for me.
Run me through a day. What did you come up with that's your plan for Monday or Tuesday?
I was looking at some stuff today and I was halfway waiting until I got just an idea from you tonight on to find exactly what I should do. But honestly, like I'm okay with making like eat like beef and rice and eggs a meal or two a day, or rice, chicken, and broccoli, whatever, and like every day. Like I'm okay with that. But it like kind of like you were talking about with her, when the other stuff randomly comes up, or when you're somewhere where you don't have that, or if you want something different one or two times or three times a week. Like I guess I've never done anything like this before, so I'm like literally starting with a blank canvas in my brain and I have no prior knowledge on anything.
Good. So it sounds like you're getting a little overwhelmed. So don't worry if you're good with the basic nuts and bolts of if you can get 2 meals a day where you got like your numbers are dialed in, you got your beef, you got your rice, you got your eggs, you got all your shit lined up. Cool, good. We can get that third meal figured out as we go. And then like the wild card stuff, oh, if I'm out and I don't have my food, there's tons of ways that you can go out to eat and you can still make these things work relatively well. You go out to a nice restaurant, you can get some steak, you can get some good protein sources. You start with that. Like you do the same things. You start with protein and you piece it together from there. You try to avoid the filler stuff, try to avoid the breads, try to avoid my downfall is always chips. If there's chips on the tables, I will eat them all.
Yeah.
I try to avoid those because it's just filler, right? It's just filler. And that's going to be the filler stuff's always going to be real high carb, real high fat, real low quality. That's why it's filler, right? Breads, chips, like that all it's usually just that. It's usually high carb, high fat, just trashy food that is just designed to fill you up and keep you occupied while they make your food. So if you can just focus on protein wherever you go, like nice restaurants, like higher quality restaurants are easy or easier because you can usually find good protein sources. Now, if you're just snagging something real quick on the fly, like I always try to hit Chipotle or something like that. Like in town here, when I'm at work, I go to Don Taco. Don Taco is fantastic for like their bowls and their portions, and the chicken that they have is lean. It's not super high fatty, so I know exactly what to get with that. And when I don't bring my food or I forget my food or I get stuck working late, stuff like that. So that's my go-tos as far as that. It's like, where can I get protein? Because everything else will work out if I hit my protein or I at least come close on it. And so it sounds like you got a really good start, man. Just don't get overwhelmed by the minutia and the random stuff. And
Mhm.
just know that, hey, like you said, you're starting something new. Don't expect to be perfect and just have a plan, execute the plan the best you can, and then we troubleshoot it every 3 to 7 days. and we figure out how to make the plan better. And that's how you make progress.
All right. I guess that's the biggest thing for me is I just need to figure out I can eat that stuff when I'm at work from 6:30 to 5 during the day. So all of that stuff, but like when I come home with my wife and daughter, obviously I want to stick with this, but I don't want to have that affect like what we all eat or what they eat, and I like not knowing exactly, I guess, every little thing. And there's the whole no sugar thing, like sugar's in everything. It seems like.
Yeah.
So it's just I guess maybe I need to fail a few times to figure this out, but it's I guess it's just starting brand new and I'm maybe reading in the weeds too much.
Yeah. So definitely for the first week, just try to hit that. Number one thing is protein. Hit your protein number. Okay. And then if you have your work food figured out where you're hitting like 2 meals at work, boom, and then you get your post workout nutrition, there's some more protein there. Then your dinner, do the best you can with it. We'll try to piece it together. But for week 1, if we can hit 2 of 3 meals or 3 of 4 meals, if you count post workout nutrition as a meal, if we can hit 3 of 4 solid, then, and we're not with the caveat of as long as that 4th meal, we're not blowing it out of the water with a 2,000 calorie like disaster, then as long as it's reasonable, we can figure it out, and we can figure out what the macros are for whatever you need them, whatever you're doing, we can figure it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that help calm your anxiety about it a little bit?
Yeah, and I guess going back to the schedule thing, just so I can so if I work out like my high intensity workout each morning at like 7 in the morning, I would take in that so post workout protein shake and a post workout meal would go in the morning, and then for where's it like this depletion cardio session, you said that's just literally just get moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Go on a walk or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I was doing my main workout in the morning, right? So tomorrow, perfect example. I got training and I know that I'm not going to want to do much after training. So I'm going to get up at 5 or 6, depending on what time I get my stuff done around here. I'll get up at 5 or 6 and I'll hit a workout around 6 or 7. I will do post workout immediately after that. And then I will eat another meal. Let's see, that'll be 8. I'll eat another meal probably around noon when we break for lunch. So that'll be a high protein. And because the intensity was early, I'll do protein, carbs, and moderate fat. And then I'm probably going to do jujitsu tomorrow night as my second workout. And that'll be a little bit lower intensity compared to what I'm doing in the morning. So I'll get a little bit of carbs after that. And then I'll cash out the rest of my protein and fats after that's done. So that is how I would do it. Your schedule won't be identical to what I just laid out. It sounds like it'll be similar, so you can piece it together from there.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Just remember, like most of your carbs, if you want to optimize carbs, put them around your workouts, specifically after, but you can do a little bit before and then a little bit after, and then about an hour after that, you can get like an hour and a half or so, get a good, well-rounded meal with carbs, fats, and proteins.
Okay. When you say post-workout meal, you're talking like an actual meal, not like a shake, right?
No, I'm talking about post-workout meal. That's what I mean. It's shake. Like get some protein, get some carbs, like immediately post-intensity. That's a big thing. Like you got to have protein and carbs post-intensity.
Okay. All right. Because I think that kind of clears it up for me. I'll probably go out and get all this stuff and try to put these pieces together tomorrow and let you know how it goes.
Yeah, dude, just don't stress out about it. Just do the best you can with it. It sounds like you're going to be fine. Again, when I do my one-on-one coaching with people, a lot of times I start with, let's just get one meal dialed in every day for a week. And then once we have that meal dialed in, then we'll layer another one on in a week. That way we're not biting off too much, too soon, too fast. And so if you're getting all your work food and you're doing 2 meals there plus post workouts in check and you're working out, like that's a lot. So don't stress out. If dinner's not perfect, don't stress out about it. I think you're going to see some good results from week 1 just doing that. And it'll be a pretty good baseline too. And then if we get to Wednesday and you're like, all right, I got a good handle on this, then just let me know and we'll walk through what dinner looks like and how we can better track that at the very least, if not make some modifications.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes, sir. Cool.
All right. What else you guys got?
Maybe that's it from me.
I think that covered everything too.
Outstanding. All right. I am going to cook some salmon, and because if I don't cook it tonight, it's going to go bad. And then the ducks will be happy, but I will be upset. So, yeah, if you guys got anything, let me know this week. And you guys are doing really well, kicking ass, and keep at it.
Sweet. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
See ya.
See ya.